All right, welcome to Let Freedom Ring, the live stream. Tonight, I have Anthony Brogna, former professional wrestler. I have Jesse Martineau, the host of the French-Canadian Legacy podcast. I have messed that up before and said the Franco-American. It's not. It's French-Canadian.
You good?
And we are going to break down, we have a 32-moment bracket of the best moments from the Attitude Era. I also want to point out, if you are watching the stream, make sure to give StreamYard permission if you want to see your comments pop up, if you want to interact with us while we do this. But I just want to get right into it, though. Both of you guys, big fans during the Attitude Era?
For sure. Yeah, I guess my first question is, what do you consider to be the best moment? Is it something that got you super hype at the time, or is that something whose consequence was super significant for the rest of the era?
I would probably say something that entertained you more than anything.
Okay.
Would be my critique from it, not what it had long-term effects. I don't know, Anthony, what do you think? I know you were a big fan back then too.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much I think my fandom started right before the Attitude Era. So I was like a Ninja Turtle and like Bruce Lee kid, Three Ninjas. Like I loved all the karate flicks. Jean-Claude Van Damme was the man, you know. That's what I liked as a kid. Like I wasn't when everyone else was like 5-6 years old, like Hulkamania and it wasn't me. I didn't even really know wrestling existed. I really started watching wrestling like right after, you know, like the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. So I mean, I consider myself literally like a product of the Attitude Era. As far as like how we want to rate them, I wouldn't mind going personal favorites just because I think we'd all pretty much be in line if we just said, hey, what are the most pivotal moments, right? I think we could kind of all know the ones that make the most sense. So we go with our favorites instead.
Oh, we're going to go our favorite, but we're going head to we got a 32-moment bracket here, and we're going to go head to head. There's 3 of us. There's a tiebreaker each time. I started watching wrestling in 91. First match I ever really remember was Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect, SummerSlam 91. So it was a little bit before the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And then I found WCW Saturday Night and been hooked on everything. So, but here we are. We have ranked or put in what we thought were the 32 best. There's going to be some controversy. So if you're a wrestling fan, and you might get mad about some of these, I feel like that's going to happen, but we're going to go through it real quick.
I'm still mad about some of these.
We were talking about
that here. You got me right in this call right now, and I'm kind of upset at some of these.
In the first matchup, and we have one that obviously everybody's always talked about, and I still to this day can't believe that I saw it live. We have Mick Foley at King of the Ring 1998 getting thrown off the Hell in the Cell. That's going up against Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman, teaming up Rodman with Hogan, Malone with DDP, Bash at the Beach 98. What event are we going with here?
Who's starting?
Yeah, go for it.
Anthony, you can start.
Oh, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's Mick Foley off the cell. I mean, it's just one of the most iconic things ever, and I think really the turning point. You know, I think they were starting to gain some steam after Mania 14, but I mean that was like, yeah, you can't. No one's topping that. No one's putting their body on the line. And again, here's a guy that like Vince didn't want originally. And, you know, now he's the guy that's really like brought the company to the forefront with this. I mean, it's unbelievable. I hope no one ever does anything like this again. I mean, even what Shane did from a higher cell was crazy, but a lot safer, right? Like it was a safe bump. This one is just, it's reckless and iconic.
I mean, he can't protect himself at that point.
I got to go with this one. And then on top of that, he got up and finished the match. And then took a worse bump through the middle. So I just, nothing tops this for me.
And this is the picture kind of this is Rodman and Malone. I mean, both at the top of their NBA careers too, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, they're facing each other in the finals this year.
Just been the finals, right?
Like,
I mean, it's definitely awesome for the crossover appeal, but it's not good.
I mean, the fact Rodman left in the middle of a final series is insane.
He did.
Yes, it wasn't the highest, most entertaining match. in the history of the world.
Jesse, what are you going with? I think we're all going to be in agreement.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a first round bout, so
I think that one's going to go pretty far. Is my guess.
all right. So we got Foley, Hell in the Cell. That's moving on. I think that was a no brainer. I did find very entertaining. I mean, Karl Malone was jacked at that point. Like, man, he could have had a second career if he wanted to. All right, let's go into the next one. Here's an interesting one. We got Starrcade 1998. We have Kevin Nash ends the streak of Goldberg, and I don't remember the actual number that Goldberg had of wins, but it was pretty
173.
173, yeah.
And I do think that they were adding matches that never actually happened.
That's phony baloney, correct?
Yeah. It was like I don't even think he had 100 matches on him.
Which is totally fine, but we're going against the time that Vince McMahon wins the WWF Championship. A little bit of help from Stone Cold Steve Austin. He beats Triple H on SmackDown. This is when SmackDown is a very, very new show. A lot of people said, well, it's his company. Eventually he's going to get his belt. Never saw this come. When I first started watching wrestling and Vince McMahon was just a commentator, never saw this coming. What do we think? Jesse, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, so I guess I'm a little bit torn because of what happened the week after Vince won the title, when he's just kind of like, here's my title back. Like, yeah, so I thought that was kind of weird. So I guess for that reason alone, I'm probably going to go with the Goldberg.
All right. I'll go next on this because I'm curious what Anthony's going to say. I am actually going to go Vince because even I was only in like 8th grade at the time, but I remember being so pissed off that Goldberg lost. I think to this day I'm pissed off that Goldberg lost that match. I just didn't want him to lose, and I also was never a big Kevin Nash guy.
Right.
I'm going Vince winning the title just because it was the first time Stone Cold and Vince actually worked together, and I also want to say that Triple H was so freaking good as a villain at that point that I really enjoyed Vince McMahon winning that, even though he just gave it up.
Yeah.
And obviously Vince Russo thought that he could do that too, which it didn't feel the same. I'm going Vince. I hated that moment where Goldberg lost.
Oh, so I get to be the tiebreaker.
You are awesome. The tiebreaker on this one.
I think for me, because I think honestly, I think both moments are pretty crap. I don't think they're either like neither of them are highlights of the era. They're just moments, right? Kind of big moments. For me, I have to go with Goldberg because it's ending the streak. I don't agree with it. I think the fact that Dan is still upset about it now is why I have to pick it, right? We're still talking about that moment. Jesse said it perfect. What happened the week after with Vince made that moment so forgettable for me. Like, I didn't even, until I read through the bracket, I completely forgot about it. Like, that's not a moment in the Attitude Era for me at all. On top of that, and if we get into more moments like this, because I can't remember all of them, I wasn't a fan of Linda being part of anything. I thought WrestleMania 2000 was trash.
Not great.
It was not good.
I don't like Linda being part of anything. So any storyline she's involved in, except for when she hands the company over to Stone Cold, I want no parts of.
The big thing for me was it was the early days of SmackDown, and that was to me personally, it was one of the most the first shot. Obviously, Shawn Michaels super kicking The Rock on the first episode of because they did a trial run, and then that was the actual first episode. Mm-hmm. I personally thought the Vince thing was pretty shocking because to me it was the first time you saw a non-wrestler win the championship, even though Vince had matches, and then obviously Vince Russo, which I think he was already gone from WWF at that point, but he did it twice in WCW in 1 year, and now you've killed it.
That was silly. That was very silly. Yep.
All right, that's going to bring us into a moment that Vince. This was a interview with Jim Ross. Bret Hart had left the company, almost forced out of the company. Honestly, they did. He was supposed to win they made an agreement. We'll get into the Montreal screw job, but this is where Vince McMahon says on a live interview, "I didn't screw Bret Hart." I don't know if he said it that way, but he just said Bret screwed Bret. And this is kind of the moment where Vince McMahon has told the audience that I am a bad guy. I'm not a good guy. You love Bret Hart. Bret screwed himself. And I really do believe that is the start of the Vince McMahon or the Vince McMahon on air or Mr. McMahon character. Anthony, I'm sorry. Let me get to the other one. DX.
Oh, come on. You serious?
This is a matchup here. This is first round. I know.
It's a tough first round matchup. They both would have won the last matchup.
Yes. Well, don't worry how we seeded this. It was tough. We have WCW. DX invading WCW, showing up to the actual arena. WCW was like, do we let him in? Do we not let him in? I would have let them in because what would they have actually done? Pretty big moment that they actually went to the other arena. I forget the town that they were in. But Anthony, I'm gonna let you start with
Norfolk?
this.
I want to say Norfolk.
I think it was. I think that sounded familiar. Basically saying let our people go, even though they were getting paid stupid money. I don't think they wanted to go anywhere.
I think this is a tough matchup. Like I hate that. I want to see both of these get a lot further. I think you just kind of said it, and why I'm going to give the L to DX on this one is that they didn't get in. It was cool. It was fun getting their fans to do crotch chops and all this stuff. Like it was all cool, but at the end of the day, nothing really came out of it. It was just like fun, right? Versus, you just said it, the birth of Mr. McMahon, the greatest heel, not only in the Attitude Era, but could be argued as one of the greatest heels of all time, right? And then on top of that, that's also that character being developed is what gives us, Austin and McMahon, which is, pretty much, I mean, it's the Attitude Era, right? I mean, we could probably argue that other feuds and stuff, but to me, that is when you think of Attitude Era, you think Austin McMahon. That's kind of where I'm at. So, I got to go. Bret screwed Bret, and Bret did screw Bret. He should have dropped the belt.
And we could actually argue that. I'm pretty sure for a bit.
He should have dropped it.
I do agree that it is predetermined wrestling, and Bret should have. But part of it was Bret didn't look at it that way, or he does, but he also there was a respect thing. The things that Shawn Michaels did to him, I understand. But Jesse, you go ahead. Let me know what you think on this one.
Yeah, I think first of all, Bret did screw Bret because it wasn't even the first time he refused to drop the belt. He refused to drop it in the Middle East somewhere because there was a bunch of Canadian armed forces in the crowd at the time. I mean,
very proud Canadian. Very proud Canadian.
So, well, I think both of this matchup is tough because these are two events where even casual fans are still talking about them now, which I think makes it very, very cool. But I think Anthony's right. I think Mr. McMahon character is the greatest heel in the history of wrestling, and that's the day it was born. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, and the seating was not easy. It was not easy.
I'm sure it wasn't.
We do have some comments from Facebook. They're not showing up. I still haven't figured out StreamYard totally.
I'm sure it has to do with Bret Hart. So.
Actually, no one's. They're all talking about other things. My birthday, Eli Myers, my 9th birthday was when Mick Foley fell off the cage. We'll talk about that. I'll try to have this up here. I'm going to agree with both of you. You said Bret screwed Bret, Jesse?
I did.
Yeah, I can't go against that. I mean, that's where Vince McMahon really told the audience where it was no longer he was the commentator. He was the evil boss at this point, which was an amazing time to be a wrestling fan. And I don't know if I agree that Bret screwed Bret, but we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to go into one now. It's really hard to classify what the Attitude Era was. A lot of people think it goes all the way until Vince McMahon said ruthless aggression. So we're going to count some things that happened in 2001. I know people know where I stand. Where it ended was Austin's heel turn at 17. They bought the other company. We're not going to get into that. We're going to bring up some other ones. We got Kurt Angle and the milk truck kind of taking over where Austin had done the same thing with the beer truck. Kurt at this point, he's a baby face, and yeah, he loves his milk, which we did find out Kurt did like some other things too, and he's clean and sober now. But or going up against the beginning of the Austin era, where Stone Cold Steve Austin wins the title from Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14. This is the last we're going to see of Shawn Michaels for about 4 years with his back injury. I never thought Shawn Michaels was ever going to wrestle again back then. I thought that was the end of it. We're never going to see him again. But we did. Thank God. And he had a better, I think the second half of his career was even better than his first. I'll go first on this one. I love Kurt Angle. It's true. Personally, Austin winning the title, I've been waiting for that for such a long time. Once they flipped at WrestleMania 13 and he really became the babyface, this badass anti-hero character, I couldn't wait for him to get the title. So for me personally, I'm going Austin era begins. Anthony, what do you got?
Yeah, it's not even close. The reason why we love that Kurt Angle moment is because Austin did it first, right? So we got to go right to where it started, right? People forget, Austin broke his neck 6 months before this. Tyson is such a big deal. Like we can't overshadow that at all. And even Eric Bischoff said like he kind of knew they were in trouble when he saw Tyson show up. So and it's in Boston. So I just
I didn't beg my parents to go to that.
It's the moment. It's absolutely the moment.
Jesse, what are you going with?
The two of you have the correct answer. I will say at the time, I'm not sure I was more amused by just about anything than when the milk truck came out. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I first did watch it, I was like, they're kind of recycling. I did like Kurt Angle at that point, but as much as I love Kurt Angle, he was never over as far as Stone Cold Steve Austin was.
Nope.
Nobody could match that. Now, let's talk about a moment that this kind of changed the Monday Night Wars. I believe this is the first time after 83 weeks? Is the name of Eric Bischoff's podcast. Yep, this is the first time that WWF finally starts to take the ratings over. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon. I believe Austin put his one arm behind his back or something like that that point. Yep. What a moment. And Vince, man, for a color commentary guy for all these years, he's pretty jacked, And this is going against a moment that, unfortunately, Bret Hart did not have a lot of great moments when he went to WCW. I don't know. Eric Bischoff claims that Bret had lost his passion. Bret says they just didn't know how to use him. But him tricking Goldberg to spear him, and he hits him with, he had a metal plate around his waist, knocks out Goldberg, pins him himself. I think this was in Canada. Yes. One of the highlights of Bret Hart being in WCW. I loved the moment. Let's see, where did we start last time? All right,
you started, Dan.
Okay, Anthony. Which moment are you going with here?
Yeah, too easy. It's the payoff, right? We've been dying to see Austin and McMahon, right? I'm going to be so heavily biased on that because I was a WWF kid growing up. I have the Attitude Era like WWF scratch logo tattooed on my back. I mean, it's
nice.
Yeah, it's like it's just built to that point. And Vince is jacked. That's the first time we see Vince without a shirt, and we really know,
like, unbelievable.
Like he's bigger than Oz. Like, pull that picture up again. Like, I mean, if this is a shoot fight, he might be able to slap Austin around a little bit. I don't know.
His arms might actually be bigger than Austin.
Yeah, like. However, I will say I've seen many times where Bret said that was like one of the things he was able to contribute to WCW, and genius from like a wrestling standpoint. Like when I was working, if I could come up with like a storyline like that, like it's so cool to have that the spear, metal, knock them out. Like, I think if you go back and watch it, though, you're a little confused as to what's going on. Like, why is Goldberg not getting up? And I see how they sold it, but it does kind of I think the idea is awesome, but I don't know if it was executed that great if you go back and watch it.
I mean, it was very chaotic there. Like what they were going to do from day to day. So Bret Hart probably walked in the arena and came up with that idea,
Which is an awesome idea. I just think the
Yeah.
execution isn't. You go back and watch it, it's like Goldberg dies, and you're like, what happened here? Like, why'd he do that?
Jesse, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, I think that event with Bret it was super entertaining. Unfortunately, I don't think anything came of it ever. And I do think
that's the end of his career.
Yeah, that was nothing. I mean, I think obviously once Owen died, which was not long after that, he couldn't be a heel anymore. Nobody's going to make him a heel character after that happens. But I think Austin Vince is the best feud in the history of wrestling. So I think I'm also going to be pretty biased towards that as well.
Yeah, no brainer for me too. I'll go Austin and Vince. That was one of the cool moments. When Bret Hart got injured, so his career ends at Starrcade, I believe, 99. He gets kicked by Goldberg. I'm not even sure who won that match. Did Bret Hart actually beat Goldberg?
I have no idea.
I have no clue. It's so forgettable to me.
That tells you where WCW kind of was at that point, because looking back, I'm like, Bret Hart, Goldberg, man, why was I not dying to watch that match? Because thinking here in 2021, I'm like, wow, two legends. And I didn't care at the time, which is, I don't know. It's kind of wild to think about.
I think once I heard Bret Hart's music in WCW, I was already out. I don't think I had any interest in watching him in WCW. And I think because he ruined it for himself by breaking his hand on Vince's head and then not being able, how are you not on Nitro the next night?
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That would have been it's like they dropped the ball already. They ruined it. I had no interest. I didn't even know when he showed up. I think it was randomly I found out the next day in school, or I was flipping back and forth. Maybe I caught him on there, but I can't remember the moment that he showed up.
That was a while. Yeah.
That was one of the biggest missed opportunities, because here's the deal. This is where the internet had really blown up with wrestling. So all the fans kind of knew what was going on. You get that guy on TV right away. Mm-hmm. Right away, you get him on TV. I don't know if there was non-compete clauses then. I don't.
No way.
It was already out of contract. That's why Vince wouldn't let him walk out with the belt, because his contract was up. So he could have literally walked out with that belt, and he didn't have to show up at Raw the next night and drop it.
Yeah, that's a huge missed up. I mean, this is probably why WCW is not here anymore. Let's get into another one. Late 99, you have Stephanie McMahon. She's about to marry Test, and Triple H comes out. I don't want to get too much into what Triple H said that night. Obviously, the storyline becomes very real as he marries Stephanie McMahon. But he breaks up the marriage, or he had married Stephanie the night before. Obviously, some underhanded things, but ruins the day for Vince. Or we have the day that The Rock completely buries Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn's about to go off. He wins King of the Ring. He's going to do his own thing. He's not going to be in the New Age Outlaws anymore. And The Rock says, God, it's Billy. Everybody thinks you completely suck, which I disagree. I liked Billy Gunn then. Jesse, let's start with you.
Sure. So I watched that Rock promo again today.
God, he was so damn good.
It's still hilarious. And as far as the interrupting of the Test wedding, that hasn't aged particularly well. So I'm going to go with The Rock on this one.
Anthony, what do you got?
So The Rock's my favorite wrestler of all time. Huge inspiration for me personally. Even now, Dwayne Johnson as a man is very inspirational for me in my day-to-day life. So super entertaining promo, but I have to go against my favorite. And the reason why is what came out of it, right? Burying Billy Gunn didn't really do anything. We know
had to go back into a tag team.
I feel like we could have threw any Rock promo here. We could have threw Armageddon here, where he runs through 5 different wrestlers, and that's one of his most iconic. We could have threw the Jericho interaction during the debut as one of his most iconic promos. So he has so many good promos, whereas that Triple H thing led to the eventual Stephanie heel turn and joining him. That's the beginning of just such an amazing storyline arc that you just said it. We have today, whether it's real life or the McMahon Helmsley era to, the Authority more recently in the last few years. It all stems from that storyline. And it didn't age well at all. Like, obviously you can't do that nowadays, but that's what the Attitude Era is. So I think that's one of the, the great storylines that was written into the Attitude Era. So I got to go with with Triple H crashing the wedding.
I didn't. I was pretty shocked by Triple H doing that, but I was also pretty like, oh my God, like I can't even I think I was 15 at the time. So I was in high school. So I was kind of like, this is, even then being like, this is edgy. I'm going to go with The Rock just because Billy Gunn is back with the Road Dogg within about a month later.
Yeah.
Like a month later, he's back with Rock owes Billy some money because he buried him and he never really
in the first place.
he never quite responded to it or came back from it, I should say. So I'm gonna go with The Rock there. It was both 90. They both were in 99. Those weren't too far apart from each other. But next one we have, and this is going to be a very tough one. And again, I apologize for these brackets. This bracket's tough. I believe this is in January of 98. You have Mike Tyson is going to be the special enforcer for the match between Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I believe Austin just won the Rumble. You have the conference, Austin calls him out. Vince is yelling, "You ruined it! You ruined it!" What a moment was that. Going up against the debut of Y2J, Chris Jericho calls out The Rock. I know these are where the tough questions happen. Jericho shows up on Raw and calls out The Rock. We knew Chris Jericho. The clock had been up there for a long time. I don't know, a couple months maybe. It was counting down. Jericho needed to get out of WCW because they were never going to let him be what he was in WWF. I'll go first on this one. And I'm going to, as much as I loved Austin and Tyson, I think I like Jericho debuting on Raw just a little bit more. Because then for me, it was finally the WWF is, I know they already had Paul White, but now the WWF was like, oh, we're rising above and we're going to start taking your guys because they were taking theirs. So I'm going Y2J. Anthony, what do you got?
I hate that this is the matchup because
it's very early on.
It was already made up when I saw the first picture, and then of course you had to kind of bury Y2J with me. So a little reason why. The pop for Y2J is one of the greatest pops of all time, and that's why it's really hard to argue against it. The interaction was awesome. He went toe-to-toe with the great one on the mic. But at the end of the day, he was still a mid-card guy jumping ship, right? This wasn't Hall and Nash jumping ship. This was, a cruiserweight guy that was jumping ship. So, and he died really soon after. His push dwindled very quickly. Like, this isn't it didn't become the Y2J that we knew years later, like undisputed champion Y2J. This was very short-lived for him. And Tyson and Austin, it's just, you have to remember, like, this is Tyson's first time, like, in a public setting since biting Evander Holyfield's ear off. I mean, this is a big deal. And now, and this is just maybe nostalgia for me. I thought wrestling was real at this time. I'm a 12-year-old kid at this time. I'm thinking Stone Cold and Mike Tyson are going to fight, right? And then you have the moment, right? And this is all part of the McMahon character build. And then you have the voice of wrestling, Jim Ross, screaming Tyson and Austin as they're going at it in the ring. And we, like, again, is it shoot? What is it? Like, at that point, everything is shoot to me. I don't even know if it exists. And it's just such an iconic moment. It's Tyson. It's Mike Tyson. And it's Mike Tyson at his peak. I mean, that's Iron Mike.
All right, so we're 1-1, Jesse. You're the tiebreaker here.
Yeah, I think the point that Anthony brought up earlier is kind of what I'm leaning on. Is Bischoff himself says that when he saw Tyson, that's when he started getting nervous because he knew Tyson showing up was a really, really big deal. But that initial pop for sure, Y2J is amazing. But I went back and watched that promo today, and it's very obvious he comes off second best in that back and forth with The Rock. The Rock owned him, so for that reason, I'm gonna go with the Tyson.
There we go. It's a big loss for you, Dan.
Hey, that's all right.
That's what you get for putting those against each other. Because the Jericho one should have went further.
You
got Jericho and DX getting knocked out in the first round, which is just
the seeding was hard on this. It was not easy to do.
Like it's blasphemy to the Attitude Era.
All right, let's go with the first time this ever happens in pro wrestling. And now these companies don't exist, so now you see a lot more crossover. But Mike Awesome jumps to WCW in 2000, wasn't getting paid by ECW. Apparently, he's the ECW champion. He shows up on Nitro. At this point, he has to drop the title. WWF gives them Taz. Both these guys are known from being ECW wrestlers. So now it's the first time an ECW wrestler wrestles a WCW contracted wrestler faces a WWF contracted wrestler for the ECW title. I believe they did this at a house show somewhere. They just had to get the title off Awesome. He wasn't even allowed in the locker room. If you see the footage, he literally came from the back, not the back, but through the fans, did the match, left. Or you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Scott Hall shows up on Monday Night Nitro. Jesse, you went last. You go first.
I love that line from Scott Hall. I think that is the perfect introduction to what he was about to do in WCW. Just to go, walk to the ring, take the mic, make it very clear. He's not even going to introduce himself. You guys know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. I think that's still an awesome line. Still terrific. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Anthony?
At that point, I feel like younger audience didn't really know kayfabe, right? And some people didn't see the curtain call, and a lot of people thought that might have been real, right? A real invasion. It's Scott Hall. I mean, that launches the NWO. That's the start of kicking Vince's butt for a while. So yeah, I gotta go with it.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. As cool as it was to see, the other thing about the other match was it wasn't live. I think ECW put it on their television show at some point. Very cool though, but I'd already seen Mike Awesome face Taz, so it wasn't that shy. It was just like, okay, let's borrow Taz for the night, and then Taz I think got his ass kicked by Triple H on SmackDown with the ECW title. I don't know what ECW really got out of that deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, so. All right, here we go. And then we're going on the other half of the bracket here. We got the beer truck, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Vince McMahon pretending I don't know why he started swimming. Obviously, he wasn't drowning in beer, but it was one of the best visuals I've ever seen, ever. Or we have the debut of the Radicals. They leave WCW. They're very unhappy. I know we have Chris Benoit on the screen right now. I apologize. We're supposed to pretend like he doesn't exist, but he did at one point. But the Radicals show up on Monday Night Raw after leaving WCW. They get involved in it, and WWF gets 4 very young stars just like that. Anthony, what are you going with?
I mean, nostalgia. Highest selling merchandise all time at that point is Stone Cold, right? Beer truck is unique. I mean, it's just something we've never seen. I mean, he just drove a beer truck into an arena. And that Vince cell is amazing. It's classic. Radical is great. And what they turned into is amazing. But much like I feel about the Jericho thing, I was a WWF guy, so I'm seeing all these mid-card guys come over. It's not really special to me. Like, those guys felt second tier compared to The Rock, Triple H, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Mankind. It's like, no. Those guys used to wrestle at the beginning of the show and put on cool matches with the Cruiserweight title. It's, again, what they turned into is obviously some of the greatest wrestlers of all time. but in that moment, I can't vote for it. So I got to go beer truck.
I'm going to go beer truck, but I would say that Malenko and Saturn seem second rate to me. But Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero did not. I felt like they were. I mean, I know what he's done, and it's a it's travesty. It's awful. I was so big on Chris Benoit in WCW, like always. And I also like Guerrero, and I also think they got pushed a little bit more than the other two. Like Benoit was in the Horsemen. Guerrero was the leader of the LWO, the Latino World Order.
Of course, but you can't tell me you viewed those guys as WWF champions.
I did Benoit.
Oh, you're crazy.
I did Benoit
he's a United States champion.
No, when he left, though, if you remember, he'd already beat Sid, but then he's like, "No, take the title back. I'm out of here."
All right.
I thought Benoit.
Yeah, he did get that little push at the end. Yeah, you're right.
Benoit always had the rub from the Four Horsemen that made him seem like he was bigger. I know Malenko spent some time with the Horsemen, but Malenko was always, yeah, you're right, just a cruiserweight champion. He never was anything bigger than that. So, but I still go beer truck. I thought it was really cool. They got 4 young guys, and obviously Guerrero and Benoit in WWE, man, did they lit it up. They're world champions. So, Jesse,
and Bruce Pritchard says that he thought Perry Saturn was the breakout star out of the 4.
A lot of people say that Saturn
he should have been the one, and then he got put with Moppy. And I mean, you want to talk about iconic Rock promos? And the Rock says, "You got one eye going this way and one eye going that way. So when you see the Rock's hand go this way, both your eyes will go that way." Like that's to me almost as, or if not more entertaining than the Billy Gunn promo.
Perry Saturn, what he should never have done, and he did it. He got pissed a couple times at a few enhancement talents and beat the living crap out of them in a predetermined match, where it sort of gets to the point where, like, okay, if you've watched any of those matches, he did that. You made your point. Now you're just like, and I think he was punished for it.
It's old school mentality.
Trained by Killer Kowalski, I believe.
Say local guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesse, who you going with?
Not close for me. I thought they could have done so much more when the 4 of them showed up, to be honest with you, especially right away. I didn't think that they had the immediate impact they probably could have. And I was a high school kid, and what's funnier than a beer truck when you're a high school kid?
Yeah. It's too iconic of a moment to go against.
Well, straight up, I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin is all over this. This bracket with no brainer, which is some of the moments he had. We're going to go to the next one. We have the first woman to ever win the Intercontinental Championship. And you see a lot of intergender matches now, not so much in WWE or AEW, but on the independent scene. But WWF was doing this way before that was a thing. She beats Jeff Jarrett in a house cleaning match, I believe is what it was.
Yep.
Jeff Jarrett didn't want to really lose this match. He ends up splitting to WCW. Rumors that he held Vince up for money to do it. But a pretty cool moment because China was so believable as someone that could beat the guys. But then you have paging Dr. Austin, and even that picture right there still makes me laugh. Well, I'll take it from here, nurse. And, Vince is in the hospital, and Austin just beats the holy hell out of him. And I'll go first on this. And as much as I want to just say, man, what a cool moment for China, I can't go against Austin being the doctor. I just can't. So I'm going to go with paging Dr. Austin. Jesse, you go next.
Yeah, I think in retrospect, the China win is probably more significant. I think that's definitely a big moment. But if you're talking about what I enjoyed at the time, again, I thought that was one of the funniest things I had ever seen in my life at the time. Dr. Austin showed up, so that's definitely going to get my vote.
Yeah, I concur. The match sucked. Jarrett was so over as a heel, and I get it, but the match wasn't good. China just wasn't a good worker. She was just a great attraction. And yeah, paging Dr. Austin. I mean, we got the introduction of Sacco that night.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's iconic. It's big. And I don't know if Brian Gewirtz was the one writing that stuff or if Russo was still there writing it, but I mean, just those promos and those segments they're just so good. I mean, is good quality TV. And again, I know, and a lot of people, and I had this argument with my wrestling trainer, a good friend of mine, and we would argue all the time about how bad he believed that the Attitude Era was because there wasn't great wrestling, but there's a whole lot of amazing like storyline aspects, and it's not wrestling, and it's truly not. If you think of the moments we're talking about, we're not talking about 5-star matches, and it's just so entertaining. So yeah, I gotta go Austin.
And that's a big point of why I think I liked Guerrero and Benoit so much, is because even on like even if they wrestle on WCW Saturday night, I was going to watch a match that I knew didn't need much build to be entertaining.
Malenko was terrific.
Malenko too. I know, but I always saw him as like, I don't know. I always had Benoit and Guerrero like higher up. More Benoit than Guerrero, but anyways, we have Survivor Series 1998, the big swerve where The Rock, you think, is turning babyface, but he's not. He's the corporate champion. He never forgot about the boos and the cheer and the chants of "Die, Rocky, die." He did not forget. Or the year before, both won with a sharpshooter and a referee interfering. We have the Montreal Screwjob. The most memorable, maybe one of the most memorable moments in all of wrestling. But is it one of the best moments of this time period? Who went first last time? I'm trying to think.
You did, maybe?
I went last. That's all I know.
All right, Anthony, you go first.
This
is tough.
This is ridiculous. So, I mean, I said it. The Rock's my favorite wrestler. It's on the year anniversary, and they reenact the screw job again. I mean, it's amazing. But the fact that it's a reenactment, I have to go with the screw job. It's the intro to Vince. It's the him as Mr. McMahon. It is what it is. It's there's dark side of the ring about it, right? It's still, people still think that it might be a work. Like even now, people talk controversies.
Scott Hall believes that. He said that.
Yeah.
He said that.
So it's a Montreal screw job. It can't go against it.
Jesse, what do you got?
Is there a more talked about moment in wrestling, like basically ever, than the Montreal screw job? Again, anybody who's accidentally
stumbled upon, maybe that's
that's about it. I mean, anybody who's even just stumbled upon Raw by accident while flipping through the channels knows about the Montreal screw job. So that's my answer.
I'm not going to disagree. I will say, back when I was in 8th grade, I really thought The Rock was a babyface, and I remember at the end of that show being like, "Damn it, they got me! They got me good."
Sure. He ran the table against all the corporation. I mean, when the boss man throws the nightstick in and he catches it and then hits Shamrock with it, I mean, it was they lined it up perfectly. He ran through the whole corporation just to join them at the end. And then we get the corporate Rock character. So if we're talking like long term,
sure.
I mean, I hate that you put it here.
It's a tough one. I mean, but it did put, The Rock was already going to be on the map, but The Rock was already on the map with the Nation of Domination. And when he got the title, not only that, I was just so pumped because when it was him versus Foley, I was like, holy crap, we're getting a new like neither one of these guys ever held the title.
Yep.
And I to this day, I get so excited when it's a new champion that's never had it before. We got the guy that couldn't cut the mustard, 6-Pac, now X-Pac. He is now returned to the World Wrestling Federation. Shawn Michaels, again, he's now injured after injury to his back after WrestleMania 14. Triple H is now going to be the leader of DX. He brings back Sean Waltman to DX. They're going to join the New Age Outlaws later in that evening. Great moment when he comes out. Or do we have the cement truck in the Corvette of Vince McMahon? Another Stone Cold moment. And a lot of these moments have to do with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Jesse, star us up.
It's going to be one of the few times I'm not with Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though that moment is hilarious with the cement truck. At the time, I mean, again, this was right in my wrestling watching wheelhouse. I didn't think there was anything cooler than D-Generation X. I thought they were hilarious. All the sexual innuendo jokes. Again, I was a high school kid, I thought those were hilarious, super entertaining. And I'm not sure this DX version wasn't better than just Shawn and Triple H. I think it might have been. So that's going to get my vote.
Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go right along with that for sure. I mean, I got suspended for a crotch chop and wearing a DX shirt in school. So, I mean, DX was the coolest. It's I mean, this incarnation of them, the five of them, is just so entertaining. I mean, it's just some of the most entertaining stuff for a teenager to watch. And I mean, being part of the definition of the Attitude Era, they're right there with it. So yeah, for sure, it's Austin hijinks are great and they're fun, but he just has so many of them where this is a real moment. And you get X-Pac shooting on Bischoff in that promo too.
It was unbelievable. I'm going with DX Reformation 2. I'm pretty sure that Waltman said he was going to make Bischoff's ass in the grass and he was going to smoke it. And it was just cool to see him back at WWE, but not being the 1-2-3 kid. Like he had left. He was starting to get edgier when he left WWE, or WWF, I should say at the time. And when he got there, he was 6-Pac. Loved his comeback.
That's kind of like the first time, right? Somebody went the other way. That was like,
I think that was the start of it. Because Big Show doesn't come for another year.
Yeah, it's like WWF is saying, yeah, we can take your guys too. It's kind of like the first time we saw that happen.
Well, we took your guys that were our guys type of thing.
Yeah, but still took them back.
Yeah. Loved it. Now we got a big moment, and this is probably, if you want to ask my opinion, I know this pay-per-view is whacked out of its mind. You've bashed at the beach, Hogan walks out, whatever. But one of the best things that Vince Russo ever did, and I loved this moment when I turned on Nitro, Booker T wins the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. I get it. I think David Arquette had already won it at this point. They were playing hot potato, but I always thought Booker was a star. Or you have what I think is the end of the Attitude Era, the deal with the devil. Stone Cold Steve Austin joins Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 17. And to my opinion, the greatest WrestleMania of all time. I'm going to start this, and I'm going to get a little controversial here. As much as I was entertained by Stone Cold turning heel and thought he did a great job with it, I thought Booker T winning the title was more exciting to me because it was the first time in months that I actually wanted to watch WCW. They burned me. They burned me once I put on the programming, but I always saw Booker T as he wasn't just a TV champ. I thought he could be a world champion. He wasn't just a tag team champ. And I thought that was one of the, if Vince Russo did anything good in his time in WCW, giving Booker T the ball, letting him run with it was the best. I know it didn't last. I'm going Booker T winning the world title. Anthony, you're up.
I'm going to let you die on that hill.
I kind of want to frame that picture a little bit. I
love Booker. I was a big Booker fan, but I was way out of WCW by this point. Like that didn't mean anything to me. Like, I said before, obviously I'm a Rock fan, of course, a Stone Cold fan. Who wasn't then? I still wanted the Rock to win, and I didn't want, like, it's just nope. Who would ever think that he would join Vince? Like, nope. It's that's the moment.
I did read dirt sheets because I've always done that, and I wish I didn't read that. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, if you think of it, WrestleMania 17 is 2001, right? I'm 14. I am wholeheartedly in my feelings in that match between The Rock losing. And I'm okay with The Rock losing to babyface Austin, right? Like, I still love Austin. So it's like, if you're going to, it's almost like, and now this will be controversial, but like if the Pats were to lose to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl this year, it hurts a little less. That's my opinion on it. But it's switching over and joining, like, nope, that's the moment. It's one of the most iconic moments. It sucked. Obviously, it sucked. He should have never been a heel. I know they did that for him because that's what he wanted. I think it sucked in the long run, but that moment is just so controversial. And you just said it's the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Why? Partly because of that. So,
anytime you got The Rock and Austin main eventing, I know.
Yeah.
Jesse, what do you think here?
Yeah, this one's not very close for me. I mean, Booker T is awesome, but at that point, did they give us any reason to care about that belt anymore? Like, why? I mean, that was so devalued at that point. And I think you're right. We're looking at the topper of the greatest WrestleMania of all time. So that one's easy.
And I just want to say, Vince Russo does brag about making that decision. It's like, gee, dude, you put the title on Arquette. You can, and stop using Tony Schiavone as a scapegoat because he suggested it. You were in charge of doing that. Okay, so it's your fault.
Yeah.
Here's a huge one. In the Georgia Dome, Monday Night Nitro, the undefeated streak. We got Goldberg facing Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the WCW title. He wins it. This is one of the one times that I stopped. I literally was watching Raw and was like, no, I'm going to watch the main event of Nitro over Raw tonight. I have to see this. Or the world's in my hands, or whatever he said here.
Oh
Vince
my God.
Buys WCW and ends the Monday Night War.
What is wrong with you?
Hey,
why? How do you could have matched these up so much easier? Like, you're gonna give us this in the first round?
I will start. All right, Anthony, we'll start with you here.
I'm having a tough time, honestly. I feel like I almost have to hear you guys. So I feel like what I'm supposed to say is Vince buying WCW. Like, I'm supposed to say that because let me repeat it real quick. Vince McMahon bought WCW, like, live on TV, and then simulcasted both shows at the same time.
That was
so I have to pick that.
Sure did.
I have to pick that. Like, but it sucks that, like, they put a WrestleMania Starrcade quality match on Monday Nitro in the Georgia Dome, and
his home,
where Bill played football. And, you know, some people might argue that some of that noise might have been pumped in, but that was a really loud arena. But I mean, Vince bought his competition on live TV. I didn't read dirt sheets. I had no clue about any of that. WCW was just a sucky promotion to me at that point. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, Vince just bought them. So I never thought it would go away. I guess I was young and naive. I never, like, they were just alternative. It was like watching ECW randomly on, like, Spike TV at night.
So I was a little bit older. I'm 17 at this point. And I'm still a big, I start to, like, die out in wrestling a little bit, like, senior year of high school, but jump back in it not too long after that. When Vince bought WCW, I literally couldn't believe it. I hadn't been watching the show anymore because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you got me again. Fool me 3 times. Okay, you got me that 3rd time. All right, WCW. Okay, you fooled me again. I'm not watching this anymore. But once Vince bought WCW, it was like, it's over. There's nothing to really look forward to. Well, at the time, I thought they were all coming over.
Yes.
We learned very quickly that was not happening.
But see,
guaranteed contracts.
But that's why I can't think about that when I'm comparing the moment. If we're thinking just the moment, I'm thinking Sting's coming and Goldberg's coming and, like, the names. Hogan's coming. Like, it's too good of a moment.
I'm still going Goldberg because that is one of my favorite moments that I've seen maybe in pro wrestling. Like, I mean, I've never done a ranking of my favorite moments, but that made me watch Nitro. That made me jump out of my seat and go wild. I'm going Goldberg winning the title.
Did you really think there was a chance Goldberg could lose that match?
I didn't think he was going to lose, but he was so over. He was so over. And just seeing him win the title and seeing that crowd and the fact that there's only a handful of times I ever would, like, as I'd flip back and forth or I try to tape one, I always tape, like, WWF was always my thing.
Sure.
There was two or three times that I wouldn't turn off the TV. The other one you're going to laugh at was the Ultimate Warrior because I couldn't believe it. And then the promo went on forever. And even as a kid, I was very confused, but it was like, it's the Warrior. It's the Warrior. I'm not turning this off. I'm going Goldberg. Jesse, the heat's on you, man, here.
Sure. Yeah, this one's kind of crazy. Well, first of all, the fact that was on Goldberg was on free TV to me is still kind of insane. And there wasn't like 4 days notice. Didn't they announce that match like on Thunder the week
JJ
before?
Dillon came out on Thunder and
Which is
announced
insane.
it.
How do you have that match with a 4 days lead in to promote it? That sounds kind of crazy.
Because all they cared about was ratings.
Yeah, I mean, it was big success, awesome moment, but I'm going with Vince because, again, I was in the same situation where I didn't think in a million years Vince was going to buy WCW. And the whole idea that he didn't just win, he bought WCW. I thought that was crazy. I thought that was completely insane.
He bought
and Shane shows up there.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the major swerve. Like, it's just
it's so great. Yeah.
All right, the night I was there for this in the Worcester Centrum on a taped Monday Night Raw. Never thought a title change would happen. We got Mick Foley beating The Rock for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. WCW is giving you the finger poke of doom and saying this won't put asses in seats. Well, obviously they didn't know what put asses in seats. Going up against, and this to me like blew my freaking mind at the time, Eric Bischoff is the man behind the NWO, the New World Order, the president of WCW. Jesse, start us.
I mean, that's a huge deal, right? Bischoff's head of the NWO. But
to me, I was like, what? This doesn't make sense. But
if you just ask, I think, random people and like name 5 things that happened during the Attitude Era, I bet quite a few talk about when Mick Foley wins the belt. I think that was just such a game changer as far as eyeballs turning from one product to the other. That has to get my vote.
Anthony?
Yeah, people love Mick Foley. I mean, that was another kind of like boyhood dream moment coming true, right? And the fact that they gave away the the result and people all switched over and tanked the ratings for WCW is just, it's amazing. I think I always looked at Bischoff as part of NWO, so even thinking like, I know how he joins and stuff, but I kind of still always viewed Bischoff as just like a color guy, and
sure,
just he wasn't. I feel like that kind of was like Vince-esque as well. Like they're both kind of that, that same thing, and it just doesn't feel as powerful as someone like Vince jumping.
I was very confused at it and was like, okay, he runs the company, but he's letting this other guys invade. Looking back, now I just go, well, Bischoff just wanted to make himself a character on TV. But I was there for Foley. And
your second favorite wrestler, right?
Well, yes. And I wish I didn't say that to him when I met him. I said, well,
but that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know why I said that. I think I was just starstruck. I was like, oh, it's Foley. I was there when you won the title. You're my second favorite wrestler. And this isn't me being a kid. Awesome. This is me being a 33-year-old man at the time.
4 years ago or something.
Yeah. And he goes, well, who's your favorite? I go, well, Shawn Michaels. He goes, okay, good pick. I go, why did I say that? All right, so we'll try to get through these a little bit quicker here. Y2J, close call. He pins Triple H for the World Wrestling Federation title. This is the bounce back of Chris Jericho. Triple H has them reverse the decision, but for a minute there, you're like, oh my God, Chris Jericho, cruiserweight Chris Jericho is the World Wrestling Federation champion. Or you have, Hulk Hogan is the third man at Bash of the Beach 1996, the greatest heel turn of all time. I'll start this. I think it's a no-brainer. Jericho, we love you. I got Hogan. Jesse, you go next.
Same. I think the reaction to Jericho's kind of win is kind of told everybody in the WWE that they could trust Jericho at the top. But you're correct. This isn't close. This is Hogan. Yeah.
Everything Jesse just said, 100%.
All right, let's go to the next round. I know we're getting shorter on time here. All right, so we're going to go. We have Mick Foley falling off the Hell in the Cell.
Oh, we're in the second round. Here we go.
Yeah.
We got
picking up.
Goldberg streak ending. Anthony, you start us.
Oh, no. I mean, it's easy. I don't need to elaborate. It's Mick Foley flying off a cell. You got two guys that can barely work in the ring versus a guy getting thrown off a cell. I'm going to take the guy getting thrown off a cell.
Jesse, I mean, I'm not going to disagree.
No, that's going to be tough to beat. Yep.
All right, so next one we have. Now, these are going to get a little trickier. Brett screwed Brett,
Mm.
or the start of the Austin era?
Mm.
Wow. Okay.
Jesse, we'll put you right on the spot.
Wow. This is super tough. Again, I think just because I think Mr. McMahon is the greatest heel character of all time, and it's followed a very, very real, actual life contract dispute event that happened. I'm going with Vince.
Ooh, Anthony. All right, I'll go to you next. What do you think?
Screw job is it's the screw job. It's the most infamous. But we said earlier that we would go with favorite moments. And if I could rewatch the end of Mania 14,
Sure.
I mean, I just catch the super kick, spin him around, boom, stunner, Tyson fast count, punch Shawn Michaels in the face. Boston goes crazy. I gotta go with Austin.
Sure.
And I am going to agree with you. I'm going with the Austin era here.
Let's go.
It was as much as that other moment was great. I popped so hard when he won. All right. So now we got Austin versus Vince McMahon. This starts to be the swing of the Monday Night Wars or the burial of badass Billy Gunn. I'll start this. No brainer for me. Austin McMahon. That, again, the greatest feud of all time. Love The Rock. Thanks for ruining Billy Gunn's career. Kind of a jerk move, but you were The Rock, so I'm not surprised. Anthony, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, The Rock shouldn't have been here in this spot, and
he got further than he thought.
But that shouldn't have
for this moment.
I didn't even want this in it. Let me also mention that we don't even have "It's Got to Be Kane" on this list, and we got The Rock's promo against Billy Gunn. So yeah,
there was controversy.
How about the gun? He's got a gun.
Oh, the gun.
Yeah.
So I can't take The Rock here. Sorry,
I can't. It's got to be Kane.
Jacked ass Vince McMahon should be smacking the life out of one-handed Austin.
Jesse, what do you got?
I love the promo, but the Rock promo was the weakest thing to advance into the second round. Yeah.
All right. I guess that was pretty. All right.
We could do a whole bracket of Rock promos.
Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely. That'd be maybe next one, Dan.
Yeah, well, we want to do ECW pay-per-views, but apparently you got to pay extra for that. Thanks, man.
We tried.
You had a great thing going with the WWE Network. All right. Here we go. We got Tyson and Austin. You ruined it. Or you don't know. You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Scott Hall comes to Nitro, or Austin and Tyson. Who started last one? Did I start the last one? Jesse, you start. I think you start this one.
Again, I think that opening line is the greatest way, to ever introduce yourself to that fan base. I thought it was hilarious. I still think it's hilarious. I watched it again today. So I'm going to go with Scott Hall.
Anthony?
I'm going to disagree. And the quick reasoning behind it is that nothing came out of that particular promo and episode, right in that moment. There was that was the building of something amazing.
Sure.
And it was shocking, but it wasn't again, Mike Tyson just bit off a guy's ear, and now he's in a WWF ring. And you got to remember, we don't even know what he's doing here. We don't know he's gonna be a special enforcer. We're thinking he might be in a match against Austin. That's the feeling I had. So yeah, I got to go with that moment.
I loved Tyson and Austin, but I never thought I'd see Razor Ramon. Obviously, his name's Scott Hall now on WCW and Monday Nitro. And I remember, because if you remember, Nitro used to start a little bit earlier, and I think I tuned into that.
For 3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, no, they started. No, Nitro was starting at 8 o'clock at some point, and Raw started at 9.
Yep.
So I saw this and went, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? I didn't know what contracts were in 6th grade. I'm going Scott Hall, walks onto Nitro. So that's going to advance here. All right, let's go the other side of the bracket. We have the beer truck. This is going to be Stone Cold versus Stone Cold here.
Yep.
You got the beer truck or paging Dr. Austin. He'll take it from here, nurse. Anthony, you start.
Beer truck. It's very easy for me. I think that's his best segment is the beer truck.
Jesse?
I absolutely agree with what Anthony just said.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight with you guys on that. I may lose that battle. Well, I did lose that battle. All right.
Yeah, you can save your breath on that one if you were going the other way.
I just thought it was so funny when he's like, I'll take it from here, nurse, and just bang, hits him in the head with the thing.
It was very funny, yeah.
All right, now we get the Montreal screw job. Or we have the reformation of D Generation X. I will take this one. And I'm going to say, as much as the screw job is historical, I popped more for DX. I was such a DX fan then. And when Sean Waltman walked out there, I'm pretty sure I jumped out of my seat as a 14-year-old boy being like, he's back. And he's, it just felt different. He wasn't the 1, 2, 3 kid anymore. He had that edge to him that he got in kind of WCW. I know he was kind of like leaning towards that before he left, but I'm going reformation. Anthony, what do you got?
Yeah, wow. Tough one. I mean, we all love DX as kids. We're in that age group where it was just, they're so entertaining. But Montreal Screwjob's one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. And we said it earlier, it's the birth of Mr. McMahon. And without the birth of Mr. McMahon, WCW might be the one that won. So I got to go Screwjob.
Got to have a great villain to have a great baby face.
Which I also think it's kind of cheap that you have Brett Screwed Brett and Screwjob as two different things.
Well, they were two different nights.
But I don't get Kane.
We addressed it.
And I think Kane ripping the door off the hinges, I'm very upset we don't have that right now.
Yeah, Kane's very overrated. We'll just All right, Jesse, you are the tiebreaker here.
And this is going to be 100% subjective. I was full confession here on live Let Freedom Ring with Dan Bolio. I was a high school junior at the time, and the screw job pissed me off big time. I was really mad when it happened, whereas I always thought DX was hilarious. So that's going to get my vote.
So going with DX. All right.
Completely subjective.
We are rocking and rolling here. All right. Next up, we have. Hold on here.
I'm really upset that there's not more moments with The Rock in here. I'm fuming.
We got
you didn't put halftime heat. I mean, they literally wrestled the empty arena at halftime.
That was awesome. Yeah, everybody watched that.
I mean,
I watched
who watched the Super Bowl performance that year? Like nobody.
Yeah, no,
everybody switched over.
I did watch it, but I guess I never cared for it.
You just don't like The Rock. I see it.
He left too early. I'm gonna hold that against him forever.
Oh,
but
man.
we got the deal.
He couldn't stay around. He's just too good.
No, I mean, you don't have to get beat up all the time and go do movies. It's no brainer. Deal with the devil or Vince buying WCW. Jesse.
Again, it's the one thing that I never in a million. I mean, both were surprising as hell, but
and around the same time.
Yeah,
like
but
a week apart, really.
It should not have, but it did. It completely blew my mind. I never in a million years thought of Vince McMahon being the owner of WCW. Just something that was completely inconceivable to me at the time. So that's going to be my vote.
Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, as shocking as it was, as pissed as I was to see Austin go the other way, from a moment, I'd probably rather watch that. And I think they both turned out like garbage. just to be honest. His heel turn was garbage, and
It was not good.
so was what happened over the next 12 months with the alliance and stuff like that. And the
Him being in the alliance made no sense.
Yeah, I mean,
It was bad.
whatsoever.
I think both storylines initially were so great and shocking, but then they both were crap. So I can't even use that as like the metric as to which one I choose. So I just have to go with the more shocking of the two, which is, you know, buying your competition. Just the simulcast and Shane showing up is just, I think the hopes of what could have came out of that is why I would give it the win. Because if I go back to the day of
100%.
watching it and just thinking about, wow, what is going to happen next versus we knew what would happen next. Now Vince and Austin are together. This sucks. But like that was just it. It was shocking, but it ended there. We knew on Raw the next night Austin was going to be a bad guy. He's going to explain it or not. But we really just didn't know what would happen with, is Nitro still going to be a TV show? Is he going to own 2 shows? Are they going to come over? I mean, I get excited just even talking about it again. Like, wow, I can't believe seeing that as a kid, and we didn't get what we deserved as fans.
Not at all. I'm going to agree with you guys there. Buying WCW. Now this is going to be a very, very tough one, and I'm going to go first on this. Yeah, Mick Foley winning the WWF title again. I was there marking out like only I could mark out as a 14-year-old kid. I still do the same now. Or we have the turn of Hulk Hogan. No brainer for me. My second favorite wrestler of all time, Mick Foley, winning the WWF title. And probably because I was there, and I don't think I've ever been that excited, because if you think about it, at that point, Red Sox had never won the World Series. Patriots had never won the Super Bowl. My biggest moment at that point was Mick Foley winning the WWF title. Jesse, what do you got?
With all due respect to your second favorite wrestler, I was the kid who grew up saying his prayers, eating his vitamins, and believing in himself or whatever. Hulk Hogan, I was a big Hulkamaniac. So the idea of a bad guy, Hulk Hogan, forget it. That's the win for me.
Anthony, it's a big one.
Yeah, so and this is actually gonna kind of sound weird as I explain my thought process here. So I told you guys, like I got into wrestling like right around the NWO formation, and so I didn't see that live. Like I didn't get to experience like I didn't know timelines. I was like 9 years old. I didn't know like how long ago Hulkamania was versus this new bad guy. But I knew Hulk Hogan was good because I watched him on TV shows because I was a Three Ninjas fan, and I saw him in High Noon, and like so I knew of Hulk Hogan and who he was, and like my friends had the little wrestling buddy, the pillow things. We used to wrestle with them and stuff. So it was like, but I wasn't into it. So from like a watching moment, it would be Mankind winning because I watched that live and I saw it. But the swerve is, as a grown man, I can recognize what is just such a massive moment in hindsight and what kicked off WCW taking over for the 83 weeks and how shocking that truly was for people that were Hulkamaniacs and to see it. On top of that, I could really argue Hollywood Hogan as a top 3 heel of all time and, you know, a top 3 babyface of all time. And I think he's the only one that has done both of those and held in that high regard doing both. So I got to go Hogan's turn.
All right. It's heartbreaking, but we'll do it. I mean, I was a Hulkamaniac. I think the only, I love Mick Foley. I never thought he'd win the title. But obviously, there's nothing more significant than Hogan turning heel. All right, here we go. We're getting close here. We got Mick Foley falling off the Hell in the Cell.
Still in there.
He is one of my favorites of all time, or my second favorite, I should say. The beginning of the Austin era. If we're gonna go strictly moments here, Jesse.
Hold on. Before you do this, are we in the Final 4 right now?
No.
8?
We're in 1, 2, 3. We're in the
We're
the elite. We're in the Elite 8.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have time, Anthony?
Oh no, I do. I got like 10, 15 minutes here.
Oh.
I'm shocked that those aren't Final Four moments right now. I'm hating this bracket more and more.
Jesse, off the Hell in the Cell or the Austin era?
I'm not sure I'm going to be talked off the Hell in a Cell match for just about anything. That, to me, that's going to be super tough to beat for me. So Hell in a Cell gets my vote.
Anthony?
Yeah. Wow. Oh, man. I just want to flip a coin on this one. So I will make my decision because I have to make one. I'll make my decision on watching a single moment and nothing else around it matters. So the birth of the Austin era and what's to come from it doesn't matter. It's just that single moment is not as great as the risk that Mick Foley took. So I have to go Mick Foley off the cell.
I love you, Stone Cold. It's a no-brainer for me. Foley off the Hell in the Cell. Because I'm more of a Foley fan than I am an Austin fan. Just going to be honest.
I just kind of put that together that Michaels is 1 and he's 2.
Right.
So Austin's not in your top 2.
He's in my, yeah.
Austin's maybe my top 5.
Austin's 3. Taker's 4. Brett is 5. All right, we're gonna go to Austin versus Vince McMahon, the turnaround for Monday Night Raw in the Monday Night Wars, or the first shot in the Monday Night War. You know who I messed it up again. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna go first on this, and I'm going to go. Wow, the moment I enjoyed more was Austin and Vince. I enjoyed that moment more in the time because that was finally like these guys need to fight each other, Anthony, what do you got?
So and we've been really Austin heavy, but and I know I was supposed to eliminate Scott Hall last round and you guys let him squeak through. So, but I'm gonna have to swerve my own pick and I'm gonna have to go Scott Hall because of what it meant, because it was different, and because this wasn't the true Austin McMahon matchup that was St. Valentine's Day Massacre, right? That was brutal. And Vince was busted open and gets thrown off the cage, and we get Paul White. And that to me is a much more iconic moment for them too. This was just kind of that first face off and the hand behind the back. So the moment's cool, but what it was compared to, Scott Hall coming out and delivering that line and being such a big surprise, and people truly thinking that the WWF was invading. I gotta swerve and go Hall.
Jesse, you're the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but I think that's the perfect line. He could not have delivered a better line when he showed up, and the reaction of the crowd was they had no idea what to make of it. They had no clue what was going on. He just nailed it.
Not to mention, I Scott Hall, or I guess more Razor Ramon, might be in my top 5. Maybe not favorites, but for influences in my own career and
Cool.
my style of work. Is a lot of Razor Ramon.
I can see that.
Yeah. I do. I love me some Razor Ramon, and
That's
I
awesome.
probably every couple months watch that video where someone just splices together all the hey yos. It's just like hey yo, and it's just like it's like 100 of them spliced together. It's so entertaining to me.
No, he was so good, and you know
He's
what?
cool. He's just so cool, and you want to be like him.
He found himself because of Vince McMahon. Because when he was in WCW, he was the Diamond Stud or whatever else they did with him.
True.
I will say a bunch of his territory work is available for free on the network. I did find that.
Oh, so they do have that you can actually put
they're
stuff
gonna make us
on
pay
there
for
still?
ECW, but yeah. Right.
Thanks, Vince. I appreciate it. We're gonna go with the beer truck. Everybody loves the beer truck. We know that.
Yes.
Or we're gonna go with you want to start an army, you turn to the click. Jesse. No, who was the tiebreaker? Yeah, Jesse, you were the tiebreaker.
I was
you
the
go
tiebreaker
first.
this time. Yeah. Jesus.
You turn to your friends. You turn to the click.
if I'm being honest, I was a bigger DX fan than I was a Stone Cold fan. But if I'm taking one moment, I got to take the beer truck. The beer truck, as a standalone one-time event, was absolutely hilarious, and it was perfect for that feud and fit in perfectly with Austin's character.
All right, I'm gonna go. Triple H was from Nashville, New Hampshire. He never acknowledged us,
He never said he was, right?
but he is from here, and I knew that in 1998. And I had a huge Triple H poster. I was like, "Oh my God, he's from my hometown!" And I just loved when X-Pac came back, even though I was like, "Well, 1, 2, 3 Kid or 6-Pac or whatever." I'm going with the reformation of D-Generation X, picking up the pieces after Shawn Michaels loses to Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. Anthony, who you got?
All right. So although me and Triple H share a similar lineage in our training backgrounds, I think what we're missing here, or at least I still remember, is that I hated DX that night. They were still heels. New Age Outlaws joined. I liked Cactus and Chainsaw Charlie and what they did to them in the cage that night. And I was pissed about that. Like
Sure.
that wasn't fun DX to me yet. I wasn't a fan yet. It wasn't until after, when they became funnier, is where I started to enjoy them. On top of that,
I liked it.
The other comments that I've made about some of these WCW guys jumping back, it is true. This guy wasn't even 1, 2, 3 Kid. He was better as 1, 2, 3 Kid than 6, in my opinion. So 6 coming back wasn't you lost Shawn Michaels, who is the greatest at the time, and you replaced him with 6. That's the way I looked at it back then. It's just, nope, it doesn't go there. It doesn't go there. The beer truck is just, it's too iconic.
So the first wrestling shirt that I ever had was the DX red shirt, where it looked like, I don't know if it was supposed to be blood or whatever. It was like, and it was signed at the bottom. I think it said, "You make the rules, we break them," and it had Shawn Michaels and Triple H's signature. So as much as I love Stone Cold, I thought the DX shirt was cooler, and that's the first shirt that I ever had for a wrestling shirt. So I was like, DX can't die. But I also didn't understand that Shawn Michaels was going to be gone. I totally didn't understand that at the point.
Felt like forever.
All right, here we go. We're getting down to it real. Vince McMahon buys WCW. Or the moment heard around the world. Wrestling fans couldn't believe. And look at Hogan in that picture, man. Wow, what a badass. Hogan turns heel. Anthony, what do you got?
So we already, if I go by your mindset, the Attitude Era is already dead at this point. It died like a month or a few weeks before. Right?
I always said it dies at 17.
Yep.
Because Austin was the babyface.
A couple weeks before. He buys WCW like a couple weeks before, correct?
The Monday before WrestleMania.
Yeah. So, yeah. I keep changing my criteria. I'm going to keep moving the needle because it's so hard to pick them. My basis is going to be on what happened after. The invasion angle was terrible. It's shocking. The moment's shocking. It might even be it's definitely a more shocking moment than any wrestler turning heel because you bought your competition. But what it turned into was trash, and what happened with Hogan was gold. So I'm going to go with Hogan.
Jesse?
I am too. I'm just thinking back to the visual of all that trash being thrown into the ring, about some dummy trying to get into the ring and Scott Hall beating him up. I mean, it was just so perfect. Everything just fell right. And Mean Gene was absolutely perfect the way he handled it. It just all kind of fell into place.
I'm not going to disagree with anything you guys said. I've been trying to get rid of the buying WCW moment since the first round. So our final 4, we got 2 WWF moments. We got 2 WCW moments. Matchups here. We got Foley off the Hell in the Cell. Scott Hall walks out on Nitro. We got the beer truck versus Hogan turn. We're going to go right into it. Let's crown a champion here. Foley falling off the Hell in the Cell. Or, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. And I can't find the picture. That's just great. So we're going to just
remember it.
All right. So I'll start this one. No brainer for me. Bang, bang! Foley falling off the Hell in the Cell. Anthony, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Dan's second favorite wrestler, like my 74th favorite wrestler, Mick Foley. And really, reason being, as a former professional wrestler, I can get in and cut a promo all day long. I'm not falling off any cells or anything like that. So all the respect in the world to Mick Foley. And like I said, I think Bischoff said at one point, and a lot of guys said, like, that was a really, really big moment where they're like, we can't compete. They tried to throw Canyon off of a cage, and it wasn't.
That was just,
The reaction was nowhere close to the same. So
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to emulate it and they couldn't. So yeah, we're going Foley.
Jesse,
This is Foley's baby boy. Yeah.
Nobody did it better. All right, here we go. Now we got Austin in the beer truck, or we have Hulk Hogan turns to the NWO. Jesse.
Again, I'm old enough where I asked for and received WrestleMania 6 as a birthday gift one year. I was a Hulk Hogan guy. My sister was a Warrior person, so that pissed me off. But I mean, I was all in on Hogan, so that's still a huge moment for me. Best turn in the history of the sport.
Anthony?
I have to use the same deductive reasoning I used for the last time I picked Hogan, and it was I didn't get to see it, but I know the impact. I saw Stone Cold live. I mean, I seen that watching it live on Raw, and such an amazing moment for me personally. But the impact of what Hogan did it has to get my vote.
All right, I'm not gonna disagree. Too much impact on the business. Too much of, like, I didn't see it live. Someone gave it to me on VHS. They're like, you're not gonna believe Hulk Hogan turned heel. I'm like, Hulk Hogan's not a bad guy. That's not gonna happen. And then I watched it and I went, oh my God, they're throwing trash at Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
So all right, we got the finals here. This is it. Who's gonna be number one of the Attitude Era? The Monday Night Wars here. We got Mick Foley thrown off the Hell in the Cell. Or we got the heel turn no one ever thought they would ever see in their lifetime. Hulk Hogan joins the NWO. I'm going to start this one. And let's see if you guys can be some tiebreakers here. It's nice to be the host sometimes. I'm going to go. Didn't see the Hogan thing live. I heard about it and couldn't believe it. I watched Foley get thrown off that cell and couldn't believe what I literally was witnessing at that time. I don't think anybody in the room could imagine what they were seeing at this time. And this is why Foley was the number one seed. This is why he's come to the dance here. He did something that nobody in the wrestling business had the balls to do at that point. There's been some dumber things that have happened. We're going to say New Jack tried to kill Vic Grimes, but Vic Grimes didn't know he was going to try to kill him. Without a doubt, Mick Foley falling off the Hell in the Cell. Who wants to go next? I don't know.
I think on 3, me and Jesse either say Foley or Hogan.
I think that's the only way to do it.
That'd be fun. Okay.
All right, I'll count down.
Let's count down. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then we say the name.
I think that works. 1, 2, 3.
Foley.
I think there's just no way around it.
He went off the cage. You went through the cage, got up, and said, "Yeah, it's time for some tax." I mean,
same reasoning I had before was I don't care how impactful anything is. I have to take the in-ring craziness over a promo any day.
Foley gave everything to the wrestling business. Deserves all the credit in the world. They started winning ratings around this time.
Yep.
He does that, and he knew that he was going to say, no one will ever, ever, ever forget this. No one has forgot it. And when he got back to the locker room, or at some point, I don't know, later, Vince McMahon says to him, thank you for what you've done for my company. Don't ever do it again. So.
With that being said, we got the number one moment.
There we go.
I'll have to get it written on the board. I'll get a picture out for it. I do
This was
appreciate
awesome.
you guys.
This was fun, man.
Oh,
Thank you
this
for
was a
setting this up.
blast.
Yeah.
I love doing brackets. We'll do some other ones too.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm always ready.
So, but I appreciate you guys being on. Tomorrow we're gonna have Dave Coolis on the show, USSSA umpire. It's gonna be a great time in studio. But appreciate you both coming on. You guys are regulars. I have a blast every time you guys are on.
Thank you, sir.
But until next time, let freedom ring.